Wasted potential, wasted potential. I don't know what episode this is. I'll figure it out later. But Rene Dupree. Oh, the French tickler. Hit the like button, share this video, subscribe to this channel if you're not. Rene Dupree is someone who was in the group of Ohio Valley Wrestling, I guess prospects, graduates, whatever they were called, who were basically going to be the new foundation for the World Wrestling Entertainment promotion into the 2000s and thereon. When you had wrestling in, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, you didn't have developmental because promotions would just exchange talent. This person would come here for a few weeks, few months. Talent would be exchanged, what have you, as the territories. But when wrestling becomes more corporate, when wrestling becomes basically one big company, two big companies, well, who do you draw from? You have to institute, a developmental, a school, something. So, Ohio Valley Wrestling, which is a promotion that existed before Vince McMahon got involved and attached to it in the 1990s, Jim Cornette, who's working for Titan, he's ready for a change, leave Connecticut, what have you. So he goes back home to Louisville. Louisville has Danny Davis. Danny Davis is running Ohio Valley Wrestling. So through Cornette and other parties, they were able to hook up the companies, and OVW slowly became one of the developmentals for World Wrestling Federation. Now also they had Memphis Power Pro, they had Puerto Rico, and obviously when in that late 90s, early 2000s, there's still ECW, there's still WCW, there's still the Indies. But when the WWF starts investing more money, they start sending prospects they really want to OVW. There was always a slight divide in Ohio Valley Wrestling. There was the original guys and the Cornette guys versus the WWF wanted guys. So the OVW originals and Cornette's guys were like, Eugene, the Basham brothers who weren't the Basham brothers, and people like that. Kenny Bolin was a manager down there, so on and so forth. But then the WWF guys were the people they scouted at wrestling tournaments, people they saw at UPW, APW, all around. And even, when they started signing ECW and WCW talents after the buyout, they did send a lot of them to Ohio Valley. They even sent DDP, which is odd, but whatever. But, they sent a lot of talent to Ohio Valley Wrestling. And their guys they wanted were Cena, Batista, Shelton Benjamin, Brock Lesnar. They had scouted people like Lesnar at, NCAA tournaments and wrestling tournaments, Briscoe and Jim Ross. A lot of the football players JR found, let's put them in OVW, put them in Memphis, Power Pro, what have you. So a lot of indie wrestlers, a lot of wrestling hopefuls, when it came to how do I become a wrestler, in 2000, 2001, 2002, if you wanted to get to World Wrestling Federation, the big way was Ohio Valley, Memphis, or Tough Enough. And a lot of the Tough Enough talent ended up in Ohio Valley because that was the main hub of being trained for the World Wrestling Federation / entertainment. So one of the prospects who grew up in wrestling, literally grew up in wrestling, is Rene Dupree. His father is like a well-known promoter, a very rich, successful promoter, what have you. And Rene Dupree was around wrestling from young, very, very young. He goes to Ohio Valley Wrestling, and very quickly he's called up to the main roster. When he's called up, it's 2003, and this is when they're in the middle of the brand extension, and they put him and Sylvain Grenier as La Resistance. They're foreigners, they're Frenchmen who can't stand America. They're going to come and teach you Americans how to be real French lovers, how to have real manners. It was tremendous. It was very, I don't think it was like comical in the way of it being comedy, but it was comical of like these aloof, arrogant Frenchmen, these young Frenchmen with their HGH bodies going to clean the foul mouth of Americans. I'm just remembering certain segments, certain things of like Austin as the GM, the new sheriff. As I'm talking, I'm just remembering these funny segments and things. But Rene Dupree, who was very, 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 very young, barely legal, he's on the main roster now. And at this time, a lot of the OVW talent they wanted were now called up. Cena's on SmackDown. He's doing his rapper gimmick. Orton was on SmackDown getting his brains beat in every week by Bob Holly. And then eventually he jumps over and he's going to be in Evolution. But then Orton, I believe he dislocated his shoulder. So he was out for some time. He returned in the summer of 03. Grenier and Rene Dupree are up. Haas and Benjamin are the world's greatest tag team on SmackDown. They put them with Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle, who was in Memphis in 98, 99. So a lot of those talents are called up. And when they looked at Rene Dupree, they saw him as he has a great physique. He's very young. He's tall. He's everything they like, except he had an accent slightly, and he was a foreigner. Now, of course, he's French-Canadian, but they made him more of an actual Frenchman, so he has to do even more of an accent. And there always has been a bias in wrestling. It don't matter if it was Pritchard, McMahon, Russo. They always had a bias against foreigners, or you have an accent, or JR, he sounds too Southern. They've always had these little things about them that they will hold against you. Rene Dupree was someone who they still, even with whatever they didn't like about him, like I said, he was young, he was tall, he was a good athlete, and he came from a wrestling pedigree and a background. The problem is, they liked him, but they were not in love with him the way they were with Randy Orton. Randy Orton was someone who, once again, he was young, he was tall, they thought he was good looking, he was a good athlete, and Randy Orton, they decided from early on, he's the future, and it doesn't matter what he does, he will never get truly, truly punished. And to this day, Orton's still there, and he became a superstar and all that, but Orton had many incidents of drug use, injuries, harassing females, being rude, disrespectful, all types of things, but he could do no wrong. He was pretty much the new Shawn Michaels. He's our chosen one. He can do no wrong. But anyone else, you do the slightest thing, you're out of here. Rene Dupree was one of these people. Rene Dupree was said to be someone who was harassed very often by Bradshaw. Bob Holly literally assaulted him over a car, some incident with a rental car. And Rene Dupree came at the wrong time, where this is the era of Bradshaw can do whatever he wants. Like Orton, Bradshaw, Bob Holly, they can do whatever they want. And Pritchard loves them and McMahon loves them, and they're in with the office. So they can harass and run amok on anybody. And they would put labels on people like Rene Dupree. Oh, he's a young punk kid. He's disrespectful. He didn't do this. He didn't do that. So the office likes you, but they don't like you that much. And then the people they do like are saying this and that about you. And then they just started giving up on Rene Dupree. And his wasted potential is very simple. He was in the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong type of people. And the company just gave up on him. But they would give other people a million chances. How they could see more value in Bradshaw than Rene Dupree is beyond me. Rene Dupree to this day is still a tremendous athlete, great shape. He's an even better talker now. He has an excellent podcast with his rotund co-host. He can still go today. They should bring him back today, and he should be on the roster. He's a tremendous talent, always has been. So his wasted potential was, he was someone they literally just gave up on. Now later on, they move him to SmackDown, and they put him in the most random tag team with Kenzo Suzuki. And that's another thing, like I said about this company. Of all the Japanese wrestlers you could sign, they picked Kenzo Suzuki. Who? Exactly. Hit the like button, share this video, subscribe to the channel, donate to the Cash App if you appreciate this content, if you have a video request. Most of these videos are from donations from listeners and viewers like you. And they put him in this tag team, and it was just odd. And also they had the joke of, they gave him the dog Fifi, and when they did the draft lottery, he was the top pick for SmackDown and all that. But they just wasted him. They put him on the fake ECW, and then eventually, he's gone from the company. He goes to Japan, and that was it for him. He did not, they had no real vision or care for him. And this has been a theme for a lot of people in the last 20 years. They bring people in, and then They literally just waste you. I mean, this series, I mean, EC3, I mean, countless names, Matt Morgan, EC3, the Basham brothers, Rob Conway. There's countless people that I could make in this series. Shelton Benjamin, plenty of people. And Rene Dupree is one of them. But that's it, and I'm up out of here.